Hello, this is Michael Morris. I'm the superintendent of the Amherst Pelham Regional Public Schools. I want to welcome you into the first episode of the 2018-2019 Window Into ARPS video series. I want to thank the generous support we receive from Amherst Media. They consistently offer us and the community great coverage of major events in our school district, and in Window Into ARPS, an opportunity to meet many of the leaders of our school district, and today will be no exception to that. So I'm thrilled to welcome Joseph Smith and Rebecca Sweetman, the co-principals of the middle school, to join me here today, and I hope viewers get an opportunity to learn a little bit more about each of them and their collective work to make sure that all of our students and staff are supported and thrive in the Amherst Regional Middle School. So welcome to the show. Thank you for coming today. And could you please each tell me a little bit about yourself and what interested you becoming a principal in Amherst? I'll start with you, Joseph.
Sure. Well, I'm no stranger to Amherst.
That's right.
I worked back here in 2006 through 2010, and I was a teacher. Then I also was an administrator, AP. What brought me back to this area is because I noticed that Amherst Public Schools has a very strong focus on equity with students, all students, and focus on multiculturalism. So that's the attraction for me. I worked in several other districts around the state that really didn't have that focus, and for me, Amherst has that appeal to me. So that's why I'm back.
Thank you. And Rebecca?
Yes. So Amherst has been a place I've longed to be for a very long time. I think I've expressed that many times throughout the interview process, that I had actually, when I first started out in teaching, my initial job, I had tried to apply to be an English teacher here in the district. And at that time, I was just transitioning from a different career. I did not yet have my master's degree. And so I ended up elsewhere, which was actually a very positive thing. And it led me, I stayed there for 11 years. And I'm ready to make the move here, and think I developed a skill set that goes right with what Joseph was talking about with that approach to equity and trying to address some of those pieces in the Amherst Regional Middle School. So I worked in Southbridge previous to now, and as I said, I started there as an English teacher. I worked my way into a role as a coach for teachers, and then academic dean for grades 6 through 12, and ultimately finished the last 3 years there as the middle school principal in Southbridge, working with a high population of students who are free reduced breakfast and lunch, and also a high English learner population. At the time of leaving, I had around 60% of my students were Latino, mainly from Puerto Rico. So happy to be here, happy to bring and partner with Joseph here.
Fantastic. And so a question you'll probably get if you haven't already is, what energizes you about being a middle school principal? So some people look fondly back at their middle school years, other people just developmentally. It can be a difficult time for children. And so what gets you up in the morning? What gets you excited to work with middle schoolers and those who are taking care of middle schoolers in that environment?
There's not a day in the last 11 years that I haven't wanted to get up and go to work and be with the middle school students. There is not a single day that is the same ever. It's certainly a new experience, and you learn every day. And it's exciting. It's exciting to help students through that period of their life. I've described it as having that gas pedal all the way to the floor, and they don't have their brakes installed yet. And so it's the time to help them really grow and learn and start that set groundwork for who they'll be as individuals, and help them to be successful as they're heading into high school and beyond that, and as people. So,
I know for me, I started my educational career way back when in middle school as a middle school teacher in New York. And the appeal for me with the middle school age is that you have some students who are ready to be in middle school. You have some students who are still needing nurturing and still need to be handheld literally, and then you have some students who are ready to go forward into the high school. So that complexity of that middle school age is just very challenging and it's curious to me. So that's the lure for me. It's just like, wow, these kids are all over the place and there's no predictability, and I love that. It's like playing a game of chess, actually. So that's why I look at my role as a principal and a leader is like, you never know, no 2 days are the same.
That's right.
And I just love that complexity that it brings. So,
Yeah, it's always one of the things I really appreciate is the last couple of years I've sat in on the 7th grade assembly when they first come. The 8th graders aren't at school yet that first day. And you get to see the different levels of anxiety, excitement, energy, and even students who are feeling the same emotion may project that a little differently. And then at the end of the year, when the 8th grade moving up ceremony and 8th grade assemblies at the end of the year, our tradition is that Mark Jackson, the high school principal, comes down and he selects a student and he makes them mimic what it feels like and what it looks like to walk across the Mullen Center stage at high school graduation. And the thing I always appreciate is the right student always raises their hand to volunteer for that, right? I would have never been that 8th grade student. I would have been like, oh my God, my hands are down to the ground, right? But the student who raises their hand is the right student for that.
Absolutely.
And the students really can imagine themselves walking across that stage 4 years from leaving the middle school, and the middle school is so central in supporting students along that journey. So it's really nice to see the before and after.
And the time spent is so quick. You know, you only have 2 years, and so you got to get to know the students quickly, and then you get off to the high school. So it's really quick, and it's just fascinating in the sense that you don't have a lot of time to get it right. So
that's right. Very good. And so we're taping this in late July, so you've been on the job a little less than a month after going through a very thorough interview process. You've already had 2 meet and greets with families and staff. And what are you hearing from the larger ARMS ARMS community about the middle school, the strengths, and what are the types of things you're hearing as people engage with you being new to the role?
Well, I'm hearing that teachers love working at the middle school. The longevity of the average teacher is longer than any other place in the district, so teachers want to be there. The other thing I'm hearing is that they have done good work. And so Rebecca and I constantly talk about that. We're coming into this to listen to the needs of the teachers, listen to the great things that they're doing, and how we could be of support to them. We also want to make sure that all students are getting their needs met. So just balancing those 2 things out and getting to know the culture of the community as well is our priority. Anything you want to add?
And just really, there are so many positive things happening, and really making sure that we're able to move those positive things forward and keep them running, and then also listen and support in the areas where we can help it to grow.
Yeah,
that's great.
Absolutely. And people might have questions about a co-principal model. We've had it multiple times in the district. In my time in the district, at least 3 that I can remember, and there may have been more that I can't. And so how are you 2 collaborating to support the students, families, and staff in the middle school? I mean, I get to see it on a daily basis because we're a hallway away in terms of our offices. But I think, helping the community understand and see what I get to see or have seen in the month of July would be really helpful.
I think it's really been a natural progression for us, natural and dynamic. I think we complement each other very well. We entered this not being so certain of what a co-principal model would look like.
I remember that phone call
yeah.
that I had with each of you, yes.
But it's been really exciting, and everything about it has been positive moving forward. I think we collaborate nicely, and I know people, the biggest question that we did receive during those meet and greets or when we talk with people are like, what are your roles going to be? And I think we're figuring that out naturally. And I think it's a little too soon to say. It just feels natural to collaborate on everything that we've been doing thus far as we're moving forward. And so, yeah.
I know for me, Rebecca, if I could talk to you through Mike.
Yeah, please.
When Mike approached me with this, I said, there's no way this is going to work. I mean, I have 9 years of administrative experience, and I'm used to doing that in a silo. And so how am I going to share this lead position? And so when Mike made the offer, I'm open-minded. I said, yes, of course, this sounds great. And then I thought about that. I said, you've never done this before. And so what is this going to be like? What is going to be the measure of success? And I just got more excited after I made a phone call back to you all to get reassured that, you have our backs and this is a team process and your vision. We want to fulfill that vision that all students are getting their needs met. Getting to know Rebecca, though, has been very, very fun. We really having a good time at this. And it's interesting because we share a lot of the same thoughts, although we are miles apart. We have different upbringings, but we have a lot of the same goals and aspirations for students and teachers. So it's been really fun getting to know Rebecca.
Yeah, and interview processes are awkward because you don't meet each other. And I'll say that the suggestion to think about bringing both of you on came from the community. right? And it wasn't one person from the community, it was multiple people in the community. But I got to meet you both individually and then seeing you in the settings. And I got the sense that there would be that, complementary skill sets and support. And I think what's been so valuable from my perspective, I'll just share where I sit, is that having both you in the summer to be able to do planning, and principal can be a really lonely job, particularly in the summer where there aren't other people around. And you have to make decisions that you'd really like to bounce off multiple people. And what I've seen from both of you is that the collaboration, the amount that you're talking to each other and being thoughtful in the decisions you're making has been incredibly encouraging for me, and I know the community will feel the same way, and really increasing the capacity. We didn't typically have 2 administrators over the summer at that site, and having that is a huge difference. And I think another way, if you're willing to speak about it, is just having not with the detailed specifics necessarily, but having a middle school leadership team meet over the summer and having staff members in multiple times. Yeah.
So our leadership, and we call it kind of our transition team, because we want to make sure that as we transition in, it's a smooth transition for both students as there's new administration in the middle school and for staff. And we want people to feel comfortable and cared for, and everyone to be welcomed walking into the doors of our middle school. So working with that team, we've been able to really talk about systems and structures and the positive things that are happening that they want to see continue, and we want to support those things in the areas where, hey, you guys might have some ideas around this, and that we're able to kind of throw some ideas around and talk with the team. They bring a wealth of kind of knowledge around the history of what's transpired, and they know the students better than anyone because they've been there for so long, and they bring such dedication and expertise that really feels wonderful when we're meeting with them. So it's been great.
I think one of the things that resonates with me meeting with this team is that they really, really care about learning and student success. We have a plethora of knowledgeable people on the team, and they really come prepared and ready to dig in and try and figure out where we're going from here, how we can support you as leaders of the school. And we're coming at a very difficult time in Amherst and at the middle school particularly. And so they bring that lens of the historical perspective, what's been going on, and they're able to inform us. But we're coming as listeners right now. We want to hear from the community, what is going on? What is that direction that you were headed? And how can we match that and parallel, what the needs of the building are? So it's been a fun process. We were doing a lot of fun activities, but it's been really nice getting to know them as, leaders of the building. So
it always is strange when your building is devoid of your students and your staff over the summer, and then how do you actually learn things? So I'm glad about what's going on, and I appreciate their volunteering to be working with you multiple times over their vacation as well. So given that it's late July and you're still in that learning process, to use your phrase, what are some of the goals that you might have for this year for the middle school?
Well, I think it's to understand the community, the needs of the community. Thinking about how we can create, Rebecca and I talk about this ad nauseum, how we can create a vertical alignment between the elementary school, the middle school, and then the high school. Make it more rigorous for all students, at the same time making it so that all students can be accessible, have access to the curriculum. So those are some of the potential priorities that we have. There's others, but those are the ones that we were talking about a lot lately.
Certainly.
And so, people may have come in to meet you, but do you have any other upcoming events to connect with the middle school community? And by the community, I mean students, faculty, and families as well.
We do. August 22nd, we'll be holding another meet and greet at the library, in the library at Amherst Regional Middle School, from 12 to 1:30, and also again from 4:30 to 6 p.m. that evening. And we were able to meet families, staff, and our students, a few, but I think we'd like to hold another opportunity closer to the school year when people are back from vacation, and want to make sure everyone has access to meeting us, and we want to meet everyone as well.
Yeah, if they're not thinking about school now, they certainly will be on August 22nd, all 3 groups. And if people want to get in touch with you between now and then, what's the best way for people to get in touch, even if it's just to come in and say hi? They can't make it the 22nd or anything that...
They can certainly stop by anytime. They can call the office, or they can email us. We actually, one of the nice things that was created recently was a joint email account for us. So it's ARMS_principals.
Oh, that's great. Any parting thoughts you'd like to share to the middle school community who may be watching this show?
Well, we look forward to serving the needs of the community. We look forward to partnering with the community, and we look forward to improving learning for all students.
And we thank you for having us be a part of the team, and hopefully the Amherst Middle School family. That's what it's starting to feel like already, so it's been great.
Yeah, and thank you for experimenting with Rebecca.
Absolutely. Well, thank you both for being here, and I appreciate your description. I think when I called each of you, right, I think I was on the road for both of them. And what I really appreciated is your openness to thinking a little differently, thinking outside the box, and thinking of a model that would really support all the family, students, and staff of the middle school. And the reason that Ms. Cunningham and I went towards this model is we tried to look at what does the middle school need, not what does it have to be or what is the traditional model. And what we saw in both of you is what the middle school needed, and we wanted to have both of you on board. So we're thrilled that you're here. We're thrilled you're working together, and we look forward to continuing that throughout the year.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. And I want to thank again Amherst Media for taping this episode of Window Into ARPS, and we will be back in the next couple of weeks with additional episodes to introduce you to others who are new to our district. Thank you very much.